Hey, look out. It's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
Hey, what a pleasure to catch up again with Dr. Shariat, who's the author of Iran's Great Awakening and founder of Iran Alive. Doc, how are you?
Well, very good. Great things are happening. Always good with the Lord, you know?
Yeah. Good stuff. Thanks for hanging with us again. We remember talking to you last year. We wanted to catch up and see what's going on. Of course, the book out, Iran's Great Awakening. Let's start right there. What's been the response since it's been out?
Well, it's a little bit prophetic because I wrote it 3 years ago, and I review what happened the last 30, 40 years in Iran, spiritually, politically, and kind of prophesied what will be happening the next few years. And by the way, I'm not a prophet. I just cheat. I cheat from the Bible. You know, I say Iran will be a Christian nation, and they say, "How did you get that? Where did you get that?" I say, "I stole it. I stole it." Where did you steal it from? I stole it from the Bible, from the Lord. Jeremiah 49, verse 38 talks about Iran becoming a Christian nation. He says, "I will set my throne there." So in my book, I prophesy, or I review the prophecies, let me put it that way, and then talk about a strategy, how Iran will be changed. How will it be transformed to a Christian nation? And you know, the last few months, you see there are demonstrations on the streets, the killings. Iran is moving in that direction really fast.
Yeah, I just saw, as a matter of fact, saw a story today about how the leadership in Iran are very upset about new sanctions that have started from the West because of the way they're treating demonstrators. Seeing things going on there, how does that make you feel in your heart when you see what's going on there?
Well, thanks for asking. It's two feelings. One, grieving with the pain of the people, the families that have lost loved ones, most of them young people.
Yeah.
And I mean teenagers, many teenagers, and even children. Over 60 children have been shot on streets. So that part of my heart grieves because God's heart grieves. But at the same time, when I see what God is doing spiritually, to use that suffering to bring a nation to himself, to save a nation, that part of my heart rejoices. Say, "God, thank you. You are the God that brings salvation out of miserable and misery, and even the sin of the people, the injustice, the oppression that people have, the government, the Islamic government has. You use it for good. Even the bad things are used by the Lord for good."
Right.
Dr. Shariat is the founder of Iran Alive and also the author of the book, Iran's Great Awakening. I love how you say you stole from the Bible and prophesying what's going on. You know, growing up myself in America in especially the 70s, I guess, it was always turmoil between Iran and the U.S. And to think back and look what's going on now, it is an awesome move of God. And who would have thought back then? I was not a Christ follower, so I was like, you know, how's this going to end? I mean, this is going to end terribly. But it looks like God knew a lot more than all of us, right? And here Iran is experiencing revival of sorts. And I love, too, how you say that it seems to be the young people. Isn't that always how it is? Do you see the snowball effect happening? And can you, in your ministry, even keep up with that?
No, it's hard. The demand is high. And what we are doing, just scratching the surface. That's why I'm asking our friends and churches, Christians in the West, would you pray and would you get involved? The nation is ready for salvation. Let's not miss that opportunity. Iranians by millions have rejected Islam. You know, I used to make this statement that Iran is no longer an Islamic nation. I did it the last 4 or 5 years. And people would say, "Are you crazy? What are you talking about? Just Google it." In Google, you get 98% of Iranians are Muslims. And I would say no, because I'm in touch with Iran every day. As you know, we have a 24/7 satellite broadcast. We go over the heads of the mullahs into people's homes, and the signal comes from the sky. The government cannot do anything. So we are in touch with people. And I knew that Iranians have rejected Islam. But now I have a proof. Now nobody can challenge me anymore. There was a scientific research study 2 years ago. They asked over 50,000 Iranians, what do you believe? You know, that's a large number.
Yeah.
And can you believe it? Less than 1/3 said, we believe in Islam. Less than 1/3. Another 1/3 said, religion is not relevant to my life. Either God does not exist or is not important in my life. And another 1/3, they were looking all over the place for the Lord. They were looking at Eastern religions, Christianity, New Age, everywhere but Islam. Islam is done in Iran. Islam has experienced its greatest defeat in its history in Iran. People of Iran know what Islam is. They experienced it 40 years, and knowingly, they are rejecting it. It's not an emotional overnight decision. It took him 40 years. So Iran will never go back to Islam.
Wow.
Now, talk about what you guys with Iran Alive are doing. You said you get the satellite broadcasts that are going into the homes. You have weekly church services. You have a discipleship school. Talk about what you guys are doing there in Iran.
Well, thanks for asking, because when I say Christian broadcast, people in the West, they have this image of like a TV evangelist and questionable teachings and maybe practices. No. This is a Christian channel. We deliver church services to the privacy of people's homes. We have live prayer meetings every week. We have teaching classes. We model how to do a church service or a house church, how to study the Bible. So it is a tool to not just evangelize, but to equip the people, the Christians in Iran. As you know, the churches are closed in Iran, and even attending a house church is dangerous in Iran. For millions of Christians, we estimate over 1 million believers. That's a minimal, up to 3-4 millions. But for most of the Christians in Iran, we are their church, and they look up to us. We encourage them. We teach them. So this channel, some people think, oh, just broadcast. No, broadcasting is just the start. It's just one way of communication. Now they come back through social media. We make a two-way relationship communication. We teach them online, train online, and we identify great leaders online, and we spend time one-on-one, small groups online, and we are training the future leaders of Iran.
That's so good. Dr. Shariat, Iran Alive. I love that because, yes, as you said, in the West, it's an evangelist gets up and preaches and people respond, and then, and then what? But you guys are in there and shepherding and building and looking for leaders, because I bet there's no way you can really quantify how many house churches there are in Iran, probably more than you would imagine, right?
Exactly. Nobody knows how many Christians are in Iran. Nobody knows how many house churches are in Iran. But one thing I hear consistently from believers in Iran: you don't know what you're doing. This channel, this ministry, they say, you don't know. You have such a great impact. They are telling me, our leaders are Christians in Iran. They're saying, when I tell them, let me share. This is a little bit funny. In the West, they ask me how many Christians are in Iran. I say, I don't know. Maybe nobody knows. 1 million, 2 million, 3 million. They said, really? 1 million, 2 million believers in Iran, Muslim background? I say, yes. I said, no, come on, Hormoz. You're exaggerating. So, but when I say the same to our leaders in Iran, when I tell the leaders, oh, I think there are 2 million believers in Iran, Muslim background. You know what our leaders in Iran say? They say, oh, Pastor Hormoz, why are you downplaying what the Lord is doing?
Wow.
There are so many. They say we run into Christians randomly on streets, in the stores. We just start sharing the gospel with people, and many times they're already Christians.
Wow.
So there are many out there. Nobody knows, but my belief is over 3 million.
Now, if folks have been watching and they're like, "Oh, I'm excited about this," how can they get involved? I mean, obviously they can go to the website iranalive.org. And you said they can pray. How else can folks get involved with you?
Yes, there are several ways. Practically, we have a 24/7 channel, and we invite pastors, teachers who, record their programs, or those who produce Christian programming to join us. We have time slot, and some Christians, some ministries have joined us by doing this. They buy airtime from us. It's cheap, relatively cheap. It's cheaper, with one mission trip, the expense of one mission trip, you can broadcast on our channel for the whole year.
Wow.
Every week. Have your slot and reach out to millions of people. We have over 20 years, we have gathered millions of viewers, and you have access to them. Come and preach to them. We have done the work. We have spent 20 some years and millions of dollars to connect with millions of people. Now it's your turn. Come help disciple a nation. They are so hungry. They are so hungry. Dan and Rick, the hunger in Iran is so supernatural. People are hungry for the word of God. They sit and watch. They memorize. Let me share you this story. There was this woman called, and it was after the show, and I was talking to her, and I was so impressed by her knowledge. We talked, and for every topic we talked, she was reciting Bible verses from memory. And we talked about Christian marriage. We talked about persecution, and she shared how persecution is good for a Christian, backed up by several verses recited by memory. So after a few minutes, I felt I'm kind of jealous. She knows more Bible verses than I do. Her worldview was so mature, so biblical. I said, some of my elders don't have that,
Yeah.
So after 20 minutes, I asked her, okay, I'm really enjoying. I have to go. I have a meeting. But would you tell me why you called? She said, I called because I need a Bible. I don't have a Bible.
Oh, wow.
What? You're a walking Bible. How do you know all these verses? And this is what she said. She said, I watch your programs and watch those American pastors who broadcast on your programs. I take notes. And when you use a verse, and when they use a verse, I write it down and I memorize it and I do it. I obey it. And that's why she was so mature. And I asked her, how long have you been a Christian? She said, just a little bit over a year.
Wow.
I was amazed.
Wow.
When we talk about miracles and signs and wonders, sometimes we talk about just healings and appearance of Jesus, which happens all the time.
Right.
But don't you think this hunger is also a supernatural work of God?
Yeah.
It's the work of the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
That is so good. That is so encouraging to all of us to see what God is doing. Doc, thank you for what you and your team do. IranIlive.org is a great place to go to, pray, give, and see what you can do to help disciple and see what God is doing in Iran. Doc, we'd love to talk to you again. Have a good one. We got to take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.